that. Whenever you're ready.
My topic was about communicating through social media. The question is, how has the continuous adapting to social media affected communication through people mentally, physically, and socially? The problem is that people have grown increasingly dependent on using social media excessively, which affects their which lacks their face-to-face communication skills. Communicating through social media causes mental effects such as identity development. Nowadays, there are people feeling alone, not being able to communicate. Sevnam Griswold, a worker at Istanbul Giresun University, stated that identity development will become much more troublesome for a child who has turned to social media to represent themselves in this world. A child who has turned to social media to represent him or herself in this world will struggle to find out who they actually are. Another effect is loneliness. Kunal Munadova, a worker at Nearest University, stated that individuals suffering from internet addiction spend more time in solitary seclusion, spend less time with family members, and are often viewed as socially awkward. The advancement of technology has contributed to the increase of psychological and behavioral behaviors that yield in communication and social relationships. Another effect is depression. Dr. Michelle Solomon, a graduate that studies how social media affects self-esteem, stated that internet communication is a thorough form of social exchange, resulting in negative psychological effects like depression. Communicating through social media also causes physical effects. Social media affects the way people go about their daily lives. Technology users start to become rather dependent on using advanced tools, which creates them to fall into a mood of laziness. Technology will continue to rapidly increase, and it will become, due to the tools humans have now, and it will become more addictive. With that being said, there will be less physical communication. Another effect is discomfort or medical problems. Spending too much time on social media can affect people's overall well-being. Internet addiction can cause problems such as dry eyes, headaches, back pain, eating irregularly, and loss of sleep. Communicating through social media also causes social effects, one of them being languages disappear or almost go extinct. The increase of communicating on social media has caused languages to disappear or almost go extinct. Russ Reimer, a novelist, journalist, and teacher, stated that by the next century, roughly half of the 7,000 languages spoken on Earth will likely disappear. The more people keep losing the language, less knowledge we can obtain. Another effect is less meaningful conversations. Daniel Dupuy, an author, stated that overusing social media communication may mean that less meaningful conversations are likely. Having meaningful conversations is a key element to communication. Another effect is lack of communication between family members. Today, most families are not as connected with their children. Families spending too much time communicating on social media may lead for both parents and children will lead for them to be in social isolation, which can lead for both parents and children to not have good face-to-face communication skills. My solutions are to manage your screen time, continue speaking more language, and express yourself with family members. However, they have limitations, one of them being difficulty knowing when and how to manage screen time. It will be hard for a person who is addicted to social media to plan out when or when they don't want to manage their screen time, or if they don't want to. Another limitation is complicated learning a new language and how to preserve it. If a language is going extinct or is bound to disappear, it will be hard for people to know how to preserve it or write it down because there will be barely any people speaking it. Another limitation is not comfortable expressing your feelings as you are on social media. While you're on social media, you're not around no one, but while you're expressing yourself, not many people are comfortable doing it face-to-face, and you also have to show your face expressions. And then another limitation is lack of face-to-face communication skills. conclusion, the advancement of technology has increased the use of communicating through social media. It has allowed people to communicate in a quicker way, but has resulted in negative consequences. Communicating through social media has affected people mentally, physically, and socially, which overall affects their face-to-face communication skills.
All right. All right, couple of questions for you. What evidence did you gather that you did not include, and why did you choose not to include it?
So when I was researching mental effects for communicating through social media, there was some evidence about how refugees use ICTs to communicate with their families, which is a good benefit to their mental well-being, because they did statistics and they did tests on them. I didn't include it because I was trying to prove my point that communicating through social media is not good for your face-to-face communication skills, but for them it is good because they get to communicate through FaceTime, text, or any other way to communicate with them.
Okay. Let's see. What additional questions emerged from your research, and why are these questions important?
For the family part, on communicating with social media, my research, they did studies on how families that use too much social media don't communicate as well as families that do, and I wanted to know how has it affect families that communicate with each other, families that don't, and what tests do they do to see?
All right, thanks.